You know, I mean, look, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me, but...
No, I feel like in more relationships than not, it was a mutual decision.
Right.
And if not, then it was like, I was like...
It seems like the unthinkable is happening right now. Sean Diddy Combs, the man who built an empire, who once ruled the world of music, is on the brink of spending the rest of his life behind bars. Life in prison. No parole, no second chances. Can you believe it? A guy who was living the high life in Miami mansions and jet-setting across the world is now stuck in a small cell, locked away, possibly forever. And the craziest part, it looks like he had no idea this was coming. There are reports that he voluntarily turned himself in, expecting a short sentence or maybe even some probation, but now he's staring at the very real possibility of never walking out as a free man again.
They have people want to make up stuff, but they got people who was there that was witness and speaking about it.
The panic must be unreal. Imagine thinking you're about to take a short detour in your lavish lifestyle, only to find out you've been played, that this is your new reality indefinitely. The word is, Diddy feels completely deceived. How could it be, you ask? How did the once celebrated mogul find himself in such a grim situation? Let's rewind a bit and break it all down. It all started with Diddy's arrest. Everyone remembers that jaw-dropping moment when news broke that he had been taken into custody. It wasn't just another headline about some celebrity slipping up. This was serious. The FBI and Homeland Security were involved, raiding his homes in Los Angeles and Miami, seizing what they called mountains of evidence.
Reason why is because they gathered so much evidence. Supposedly they gathered so many videos and laptops and also electronic devices.
It was clear from the beginning that this wasn't your typical case. This was a man facing some of the most severe charges imaginable, things that shocked even the most jaded in the industry. People wondered, how did this happen? Wasn't Diddy the guy known for flashy parties and hit records? Not for sitting in courtrooms facing allegations this dark. The list of charges was brutal. He's been accused of creating a criminal empire, a network that spanned decades. The allegations range from orchestrating elaborate, exclusive gatherings where the worst kind of behavior was allowed and even encouraged.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who...
These aren't just one-off incidents either. We're talking about a systematic, calculated operation. Prosecutors have alleged that he built his empire by leveraging his immense power and wealth, all while terrorizing those around him. What's even more shocking is the number of people involved. Authorities claim that dozens of individuals were manipulated or harmed over the years. It paints a chilling picture of a man who used his position to do whatever he wanted with little regard for the consequences.
Diddy?
I think industry talk, there's a lot of people who, who have worked for him. There's been stories around, which is, not necessarily unusual.
Experts say it's no surprise that Diddy is now panicking. He's reportedly demanding his legal team move mountains to get him out. He wants his lawyers to file every possible appeal, do everything they can to reduce his sentence. He never thought he'd be in a place like the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a far cry from the luxury he's used to. The conditions in there, let's just say they're not glamorous.
Lance A. Clark is a federal defense attorney who's been there many times.
Now, if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
It's a facility notorious for its poor living standards, staff shortages, overcrowding, and inmate violence. There are reports of power outages, freezing temperatures, and endless lockdowns. Just this past summer, 2 inmates lost their lives in violent incidents. One inmate was reportedly confined for days without access to a functioning toilet. This place has been called hell on earth by those who've been inside. And now, that's where Diddy calls home.
Again, we do not know what is the information that law enforcement had before going in to execute that search warrant.
But here's the thing, as much as Diddy is pleading for a way out, the case against him is staggering. It's impossible to ignore the mountain of evidence being brought to light. Prosecutors have talked about massive amounts of data. They've collected dozens of terabytes, hundreds of subpoenas, 100 plus phones and tablets seized. The feds have been building this case for years, and it looks like they're ready to bring everything to the table.
With this newest lawsuit, this would probably only expedite or increase the amount of allegations and potential witnesses who could testify against Sean Combs.
The public got a glimpse of just how bad things are for Diddy when footage emerged, showing him attacking his ex-girlfriend Cassie. This video, which was reportedly obtained by CNN, shows Diddy in a violent encounter with her in a hotel hallway. It's said to be one of many instances where he allegedly used intimidation and brute force to keep those around him under control.
I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
And it doesn't stop there. Prosecutors claim that his wealth made him dangerous, untouchable, even. His influence was so widespread that he allegedly used his fortune to silence witnesses, control his associates, and ensure that no one dared to cross him. The question hanging in the air is, how did it take so long for this to come to light? How did a man accused of so many crimes manage to stay free for so many years?
So she claims she did try to leave several times, but Diddy would always send his team to find her, track her down, bring her back, under the basis that her career would be ruined if she left.
The answer might lie in his vast network of enablers. There are whispers that high-ranking executives in the music industry are also on edge right now. Several reports say that Diddy wasn't the only one involved and that others in positions of power could soon face their own legal battles. As one insider put it, the labels are petrified because recording companies tend to be dragged into lawsuits. And it makes sense after all. How could something so massive fly under the radar without a whole team of people looking the other way? It's no wonder some top executives are reportedly scrambling, making contingency plans just in case their names surface.
The only way he will not go to prison for the time that they want to give him is if he start giving them something.
But let's not forget the victims. Dozens of people have come forward, and their stories are absolutely heartbreaking. These aren't just nameless faces. These are individuals whose lives were turned upside down by the very man who once promised them the world.
Is he controlling? Yes, he is. Will he put his hands on a female? Yes, he will. Would he put his hands on a male producer or anything? Yes, he will.
Some of them are speaking out for the first time, while others have been vocal about their trauma for years, hoping for justice. One YouTube fan commented, "And to all the ladies who were assaulted, hope you all get justice." It's a sentiment shared by so many, especially as more stories come to light. The sheer scale of this case is mind-blowing, and it's leaving everyone wondering, how deep does this go? Diddy's legal team is doing their best to spin the narrative. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, has gone on record saying they're fighting tooth and nail to free him. He's talking about how Diddy even sold his private jet and surrendered his passport as a show of good faith. Agnifilo has tried to present Diddy as a man who respects the law and is doing everything he can to prove his innocence. He's argued that Diddy is not the same person he was back then, trying to paint a picture of redemption and change. But the reality is that the charges are simply too severe for this to be brushed under the rug. The government has been relentless in pushing their case. They've stated in court that Diddy's actions have spanned years, with some allegations dating back decades. One government official reportedly said, the defendant should be detained pending trial, citing his immense wealth and resources as reasons he could easily flee the country or tamper with witnesses. According to court documents, Diddy's empire wasn't just built on music and business ventures, it was allegedly built on fear and control.
That this is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
For a long time, Diddy's public image was carefully curated. He was the host of glamorous parties, the face of high-end fashion, and the man behind some of the biggest hits in hip-hop. He even had a reputation as a family man, often seen doting on his children. But as the case unfolds, that image is quickly unraveling. It turns out that behind the scenes, things were far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. What makes this case even more explosive are the rumors that Diddy was involved in much more than just what's on the indictment. Some fans have gone as far as suggesting that Diddy had a hand in the tragic East Coast vs. West Coast feud that rocked the music industry in the 1990s. A YouTube comment even read, "Now I'm definitely convinced that he had Biggie hit up." While there's no proof to back up this claim, it shows how deeply people's perceptions of Diddy have shifted. For years, there's been speculation about his involvement in various unsolved events. Whether these claims are true or not, the fact that they're being brought up again speaks volumes about the current state of public opinion regarding him. The scope of this scandal has everyone on edge. With each new revelation, the narrative grows darker. What started as whispers and rumors has now exploded into one of the biggest celebrity trials in recent memory, and the public's reaction has been swift. Many are expressing shock that someone who seemed to have it all could be involved in something so heinous. Yet, there's also a growing sense of vindication for those who've been suspicious of him for years. But as this case drags on, one thing becomes clear: Diddy's days of living above the law are over. He might still have fans and defenders, but the evidence stacked against him is overwhelming. His empire, built over decades, is crumbling before his eyes. And as more victims step forward, his chances of ever reclaiming his former glory grow slimmer.
Personally, I've never met Diddy a day in my life, but when you do wrong, it comes back on you. So none of us should be surprised.
The legal battle is far from over. Diddy's team is going to fight with everything they've got. They'll argue that he's been set up, that the evidence is exaggerated, that he's a scapegoat for a larger industry problem. But the public is watching closely, and so are the authorities. There's no doubt that this case is going to continue to dominate headlines for months, if not years, to come. In the end, Diddy's story has turned into a cautionary tale about power, greed, and the consequences of living a life unchecked by the law. Whether he's found guilty or not, his legacy has already been tarnished beyond repair. And now, with the prospect of life in prison looming over him, it seems like the man who once seemed untouchable is finally facing the consequences of his actions. As this saga continues to unfold, it leaves everyone with lingering questions. How could this have gone on for so long? And are there more powerful figures in the industry who are just as guilty but haven't been caught yet? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And with that, we'll see how this all plays out in court, because one thing is certain: this story is far from over.